The Food Ministry has written to the Railway Board Chairman to make available rakes on priority basis to sugar mills in Maharashtra and Karnataka, as lack of adequate wagons had impacted the domestic dispatch and exports of the sweetener from the region. Mills in Maharashtra and North Karnataka have been facing difficulties in moving the sugar to the consuming centers across the country, while exports have also taken a hit due to logistic issues. In a letter to Railway Board Chairman, the Food Ministry said that the lifting of sugar from the mills is getting affected. Also, considering the difficulties faced by the mills in selling the sugar due to logistics issues, the Food Ministry recently extended the time period for the monthly sale quota for December 2021 by 1 month till January 31, 2022. This is expected to help facilitate the dispatch of the remaining unsold quantity of December quota, thereby improving the liquidity of sugar mills, enabling them to clear the cane price dues. According to the Indian Sugar Mills Association, the production of the sweetener in the first 3 months of the current 2021-22 season was up 4.34% at 115.55 lakh tons as of December end over same period last year's 110.74 LT. In Maharashtra, the production was up 15% at 45.77 lakh tons till December end over last year, while in the same period the output was 6% more in Karnataka at 25.65 lakh tons. Textile value chain is feeling the heat of spiraling cotton prices. The gind cotton price for 29mm variety, which was quoted 55,000 Indian rupees a candy on October 5, 2021, has jumped by 31% to touch a record high of 72,000 Indian rupees now. With no respite for prices in sight, the industry is seeking government intervention to rein in the spiraling prices by imposing measures such as temporary suspension of cotton futures trades on exchanges. At this rate, Indian cotton is now costliest in the world. This causes cost burden for millers and the ginners too. We believe restricting cotton futures, at least for a month's time, will ease out the price rise. And once the prices stabilize and start sinking, we will see more arrivals in the markets, said J. Tulsitharan, President, Indian Cotton Federation. According to the trade sources, for the first 3 months of the cotton marketing year 2021-22, about 40% of the projected 360.13 lakh bales of crop has arrived in the market. The remaining stock is said to be with the farmers who are anticipating raw cotton prices to further go up from its current levels of 10,010 Indian rupees a quintal in Rajkot markets earlier this week. Leading textile player, TT Limited's chairman, Rikabh Jain on Wednesday wrote a letter to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi seeking his intervention to initiate measures to curb the price rise. In his letter, Jain has noted that the cotton prices were skyrocketing despite unprecedented best damage-free crop. He alleged that the price hike is primarily due to the speculative trades by multinational companies, holding the stocks, and Indian speculators indulging into money-making at the cost of textile industry. Government needs to take immediate action. Otherwise, powerloom sector, hosiery sector and apparel industry is about to come to a grinding halt, he said, requesting the Prime Minister for immediate action to stop hedging and trading of kappas by speculators on commodity exchanges such as Multi-Commodity Exchange and New York Cotton Exchange. Notably, this demand for restrictions on cotton futures trading comes after Tirupur Exporters Association raised their demand earlier this week for removal of 11% import duty on cotton. The import duty is hurting the sentiment. Once it is removed, it will lift the sentiment and also help in easing the prices, said Tulsitharan, who is also managing director of the Rajaratna Mills Ltd. in Coimbatore. Electric vehicle manufacturer Ola Electric has said it is producing about 1,000 scooters a day. Taking to Twitter on Thursday, Ola Chief Executive Officer Bhavish Aggarwal said the company will open a purchase window for remaining customers. Future factory now producing almost 1,000 scooters a day. Opening up purchase window for remaining customers soon, said Aggarwal. Recently, the Ola CEO claimed that all vehicles that were due for delivery in December 2021 have been dispatched. The company has set up its manufacturing unit, Ola Future Factory, in Hosur, Tamil Nadu. It is a 500-acre setup for the production of Ola's two-wheeler EVs and is said to have the capacity to produce 1 crore electric scooters per year. Read more, Ola Electric says dispatched e-scooters to all buyers. In December 2021, Ola Electric has raised 398 Indian rupees crore from Temasek along with the participation of Edelweiss, IFL, VSS Investco, and Bollywood actors such as Zoya Akhtar, Farhan Akhtar and film producer Ritesh Sidhwani among others, according to the company's regulatory filing. In September, Ola Electric raised over $200 million from Falcon Edge, SoftBank and others investors, at a valuation of $3 billion. Ola Electric has recently announced that its EV charging station, Ola Hyperchargers, will be free for use till June 2022 for all customers. Hypercharger rollout is said to have started across cities and the company will set up over 4,000 charging points though next year. The charging points are expected to become operational in 6 to 8 weeks. Many as 125 passengers of a chartered flight from Italy tested positive after landing at Amritsar in Punjab this afternoon. There were 179 passengers in all, including 19 children, on the chartered flight from Milan. It was reportedly operated by Euro-Atlantic Airways, a Portuguese company. All adult passengers were tested on arrival, since Italy has been identified as an at-risk country by the Ministry of Civil Aviation and Union Health Ministry. All COVID-positive passengers will be sent to institutional quarantine, said sources. Amritsar Airport Authority in a tweet added that it has taken all necessary actions to stop the spread of COVID-19. In today's flight, all 125 pax tested plus VE are being attended by state health officials. Rest 35 pax tested V have been advised self-monitoring and would be under supervision, it said in a statement. Meanwhile, Air India denied that it was operating the airline. Several media houses has reported that passengers of Air India flight from Rome to Amritsar have been tested COVID positive. This is wrong and baseless. Air India doesn't operate any flight from Rome currently, it said in the tweet. From Zomato's Ho Rela IPO moment to Mensa's sprint to unicorn status within just 6 months, 2021 was a landmark year for the Indian startup ecosystem. In 2021, Indian startups raised about $35.4 billion funding across 1,926 deals, according to Traxon. This is 3x more than the $13 billion funding raised by startups in 2020. While there is enough liquidity in the private markets today, will this funding rush continue for another year? Nitin Kamath, CEO, Zerodha, believes that it will. Investors and funds are starting to realize the opportunity set in India, and we can see that from the number of new investments. If global liquidity remains, the momentum will carry on into the new year. But the biggest caveat is how the financial markets perform, said Kamath. Sri Krishna Ramamurthy of Unitas Ventures said, we could also see increased startup funding thanks to more global capital flow into India instead of China. Anjali Bansal, founder, Avayana Capital, is confident the Indian startup ecosystem is headed towards maturity. She believes that it is being driven by the talent that is building upon the learnings of the previous decade. In the coming year, Amit Samani of Prime Venture Partners believes that Indian startups are now poised to make a big dent globally, and an example of that is the export of consumer edtech into the developed world. I also see health and wellness startups starting to make an impact on the global scene. B2B opportunities will flourish both within India and also cross-border. Some of the deep technology areas will also see some new innovations, Samani added. Further, Sanjeev Barnwal, founder and CTO of Meesho, expects increased focus on technologies, which will simplify the user experience in e-commerce and enable adoption by Tier 2 markets. Voice and image search will be significant innovation drivers to further personalize shopping experience. Vernacular chatbots can be a game changer. It can reduce operating costs and enhance customer experience, said Barnwal. Anup Jain, managing partner, Oreos Venture Partners, noted fintech, health tech, and agritech as the 3 sectors which will create rapid innovation. India will become the source of fintech innovations, having one of the most advanced fintech infra in the world. It will also become a fountainhead of English-speaking creators who will dispense their skills all around the world, he said. With respect to healthcare, Jain said that India's health ecosystem is going to see a rapid transformation with the implementation of the National Health Card similar to NHS and Medicare in developed countries. The foundation has been laid with the digital COVID vaccine certificate being 100% digital, linked to a national ID. Indian startups will become targets for acquisitions by global legacy corporates and digital startups from around the world wanting to get into India. Indian agriculture, which remains largely backward and subscale, will see a bigger move towards being more organized, more automated, and connected with its B2B and B2C customers, he added. Supply chain financing company Veefin has raised $3 million in funding from Dubai-based HNI Rajesh Rajendran. The fresh funding will be used to build its product and engineering team. Veefin was co-founded by Gautam Udani and Raja Debnath. It leverages its configurable SCF platform to provide financiers with short implementation timeline. Commenting on the fundraise, Veefin's co-founder CEO, Raja Debnath, said, "Our vision is to be the global leader in providing technology to lenders for digital supply chain financing. Our solution has been developed by bankers, for bankers, and is the most comprehensive by far in the market. With this funding, we will further amplify Veefin's feature-rich platform, add further product lines, and ensure seamless customer service for our global client." Rajesh Rajendran said, "Veefin is taking SCF and digital lending to new heights. Financial institutions have lately been focusing on SME lending, and by virtue of that, there is tremendous interest in SCF. Veefin is one of the few names globally that is putting supply chain financing under the microscope and providing relevant and smart solutions to lenders." The RERA has not been as effective in protecting homebuyers' interest in Delhi compared to elsewhere. There have been just 32 project registrations in Delhi RERA, against 71,307 projects registered in November 2021. Developers are also taking advantage of loopholes in Delhi RERA, thereby impacting homebuyers. This number of RERA registered projects in Delhi is not only amongst the lowest in any union territory, it also falls dismally short when compared with RERA registered projects of cities like Mumbai and Bengaluru, a white paper released by India Sotheby's International Realty said. Delhi has a per capita income considered the second highest in India and nearly 3 times the national average. The per capita income of Delhi during 2020 to 21 is estimated at Indian rupee 354,004. The total purchasing power of Delhiites has grown by 37% in the last 10 years. India Sotheby's International Realty claims Delhi's real estate is a redevelopment market where older homes of single or two-floor residences are converted into 4 floors as the latest FSI norms allow. The homeowner, in many cases a senior citizen, ends up collaborating with a builder to retain a few floors, and the builders acquire the rest for sale. The builder promises construction following specific standard and specification. The builder structures the transaction, which offers no protection to the original home/landowner. The white paper claims and adds that these transactions are done via a general power of attorney to take full control of the property, including selling rights, leaving the original owner with no right. In such sale of builder floors in Delhi at early stages, the builder further sells unconstructed floors to new sellers and takes large advances misusing the GPA, as high as 85% of the floor value. This structure exposes both the original owner of the home and the new home buyer to an extremely high level of risk, the white paper states, adding that, in case of any delay, siphoning of money by the builder, or a delinquency, the entire risk rests with the 2 categories of homeowner. Majority of delayed projects and complaints on non-completion of homes in the national capital fall within this complicated one-sided builder-buyer agreements made through GPA. The GPA transactions are undertaken to largely avoid stamp duty and GST payment to the state. This is a huge revenue loss. Sotheby's white paper further adds that cash in the Indian economy has doubled from 16 Indian rupees lakh crore to about 29 lakh crore, post-demonetization, thereby indicating that real estate transactions are being closed at much lower values than the actual transaction price, particularly in the farmhouses area, and Category B and lower colony. This again results in massive loss of government revenues from registration, stamp duty and income tax on capital gain, it added. According to the white paper, present RERA rules provide an exemption from registration for the development of up to 500 square meters and fewer than 8 apartments. Developers have begun using this loophole by ensuring that the number of units under development are less than 5. Banks and financial institutions approve loans to home buyers on non-RERA registered floors, without adequate scrutiny. A vicious cycle is created wherein unregistered projects attract unregistered agents. Since RERA registration of agents is required only for RERA registered projects, there is a policy change required here, India Sotheby's International Realty has urged. Orobindo Pharma Ltd's brand of Molnupiravir, Molnaflo, is now available in the domestic market across all major metros and towns. The Hyderabad-based company has priced Molnaflo at 49.97 Indian rupees per capsule. The price of Molnupiravir of Dr. Reddy's Laboratories Ltd is 35 Indian rupees per capsule, while Hetero and Optimus Pharma is at about 63 Indian rupees per capsule. Molnupiravir is for treatment of adult patients with COVID-19, with SP0293PC, and who have high risk of progression of the disease including hospitalization or death. Orobindo's brand Molnaflo registered is now available pan-India across all major metros and towns through distribution partner. We are delighted with the timely permission from DCGI for the licensed version of Molnupiravir, as it opens up access to an affordable treatment option for COVID-19 patients and enable us to help battle the pandemic with effective and high-quality pharmaceutical product. We committed to enhance access to this product for patients in need, in our partnered territories, K. Nithyananda Reddy, Vice Chairman Managing Director, Orobindo, said on Thursday. Molnupiravir was earlier approved under Emergency Use Authorization from CDSCO, India. This is the first oral antiviral approved by India, the UK agency, and also by US Foods Drugs Administration. Last week, Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare granted special approval for emergency in Japan for Molnupiravir for infectious disease caused by SARS-CoV-2. Earlier last year, Orobindo had signed a bilateral non-exclusive voluntary licensing agreement with Merck Sharp Dome, Singapore, a subsidiary of Merck Company, to manufacture and supply Molnupiravir to over 100 low- and middle-income countries, including India. For the licensed version of Molnupiravir, Orobindo enjoys backward integration with in-house API manufacturing, which equips it with stronger control on the quality systems and supply chain. Paytm has enabled users to make instant payments through their Paytm registered card by tapping their phone on a POS machine. This service, Tap to Pay, will be possible even if the phone is locked or there is no mobile data or internet connection. Paytm's Tap to Pay service is available for Android and iOS users paying through Paytm all-in-one POS devices and POS machines of other banks. True digitization of financial services can only happen when it is not hindered by the limitations of data. With the introduction of Tap to Pay, we are now enabling our users to carry out all digital transactions with or without mobile data. This service is supported by Paytm all-in-one POS, and also by most major banks and card networks to give our users the widest range of choices, a Paytm spokesperson said. With the latest Tap to Pay service, Paytm uses its technology to convert the selected card's 16-digit primary account number into a secured transaction code or a digital identifier. This digital identifier ensures that a user's card details remain only with the user and is not shared with any third-party payment processor. When users visit a retail outlet, they can tap and pay on the POS device, without sharing their card details through the transaction. With the latest feature, payments can be made at all retail outlets, which have card machines that support NFC. The cards can be managed through a dedicated dashboard on the Paytm app that offers a section on the transaction history of the card, and at any moment can also change the primary tokenized card in a few simple steps. The dashboard also allows the user to change or detokenize the card whenever required. The world has been through interesting times in the past 24 months, and many books have been written for local and global consumption that describe the identification, tracking and response to SARS-CoV-2, and there are going to be many more that document this incredible time in our history. Gregory Zuckerman's A Shot to Save the World approaches the development of SARS-CoV-2 vaccines from a different viewpoint. The 19 chronologically organized chapters start with HIV in 1979 to 1987 and end in winter 2020 to summer 2021 as vaccines were rolled out, to create the recent history of virology in vaccines, reaching Wuhan, and the first description of the outbreak and the sequencing of the SARS-CoV-2 virus only in Chapter 14. This organization of the chapters creates a sense of anticipation, and each chapter establishes a milestone in the history of viral infections, the science that informed vaccine development and the creation of companies and the people that made it all possible. The stories are mainly of the vaccines developed or planned for testing under Operation Warp Speed, the Moderna and Pfizer-BioNTech mRNA vaccines, the AstraZeneca chimpanzee adenovirus vectored vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson human adenovirus vectored vaccine and the Novavax protein vaccine. Other vaccines developed in the US that ultimately were not taken forward or developed elsewhere do not find a mention. There is also nothing on the many inactivated vaccines in China, India, and other parts of the world or the newer technologies still being evaluated. The tales that are told are gripping, and the details that Zuckerman incorporates in the telling provides intimacy with the cast of characters. Gail Smith, the North Dakota farm boy, whose PhD in Texas leads to a protein expression system used decades later to make the Novavax vaccine, celebrates the U.S. trial results with a dinner with his wife at the inn at Little Washington. Adrian Hill, whose passion for vaccines led to the establishment of the Jenner Institute at Oxford, is faced down by Joana Carneiro da Silva at a scientific meeting, an unusual occurrence for a scientist described as brilliant but savage and derisive. Dan Barouch, the wunderkind, who writes a paper in a weekend, never watches television and practices the violin for an hour a day since the age of 4, also teaches his young daughters to play. The science that led to the insect cell expression of proteins, the modifications of mRNA that allowed it to be used to produce proteins in humans, the structure-based approach to stabilizing a shape-shifting protein, the development of viral vectors that could be safely and effectively used in humans are laid out in the accounts of the people who worked on them and the places where the work was done, sometimes over decades. Scientists who work on viral vaccines are few, and the same individuals appear as the narratives evolve. Barney Graham of the Vaccine Research Center at the National Institute of Health advises Jason McClellan to work on coronaviruses when he gets his faculty position and cannot get funding. He then calls him to collaborate when the SARS-CoV-2 sequence becomes available. The story of the weekend slog of Nianshuang Wang in McClellan's lab that resulted in potential candidates sent to Kizzmekia Corbett, who worked with Barney Graham, will go down in the annals of vaccinology. The scientists and the science take center stage, but vaccines are not made by scientists alone. The investors, the executives, and the manufacturing experts that make the companies that make the vaccines, or try to, are included in descriptions that detail how large companies like Pfizer built on existing partnerships with BioNTech to switch from influenza to SARS-CoV-2, and Novavax and Moderna as small companies, struggled to survive while continuing to push their science forward without any licensed products at the time they started to work on COVID-19 vaccine. The insights into the decision-making of investors, Nabarafayan and the Strongman brothers, who took risks with Moderna and BioNTech, and the descriptions of the comparisons of Theranos with Moderna, because of the personalities and projections of Elizabeth Holmes and Stefan Bancel as CEOs, are unusual and provide some understanding of the evolution of the company. The book builds a foundation of science to describe the development of some vaccines that have begun to be used around the world. The portrayals of interesting characters and the interesting situations they found themselves in add value to the accounts of scientific advances. Luigi Warren, a software engineer who chose a second career, struggles to make stem-like cells and get them to produce protein using mRNA, building on the work of Catalin Carrico and Drew Weissman. Carrie Beninato is asked to solve delivery for Moderna experiments to find the perfect packaging for mRNA and find solutions in simplicity. There are successes and failures, struggles and triumphs, interesting characters, and an arc of discovery and development that capture attention. If there is a fault, it is limited to a U.S. perspective of vaccine. Even with that, this is a true adventure story for our time. Check out the book on Amazon. A Shot to Save the World, the remarkable race and groundbreaking science behind the COVID-19 vaccine. By Gregory Zuckerman. Pages 358. Publisher, Penguin. Price, 650 Indian rupee.